For millions of us gamers, Windows 10 is more than just an operating system, right? It's our trusted ally, the bedrock of countless hours of gaming. But now, Microsoft has officially put a date on its expiration. So what actually happens when the clock runs out? Let's break down what this end of an era is really all about for your gaming PC.
Mark your calendars, October 14th, 2025. That is the day Microsoft officially pulls the plug on Windows 10 support. And look, for the gaming community, this isn't just some tech deadline. It's a huge turning point for the OS that's been the absolute backbone of PC gaming for almost a decade.
This one comment just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the mood out there. We're not just talking about lines of code. For so many of us, Windows 10 has been a super reliable partner through years and years of virtual battles. So yeah, this feels less like a simple software update and a lot more like saying goodbye to an old friend.
Okay, so let's get one thing straight about what end of life actually means. Your PC is not going to self-destruct on October 15th. It will still boot up. It will still run your games. But, and this is a big but, Microsoft is going to stop sending out free security updates. That means your system will get more and more vulnerable over time. And even more importantly for us, new games and critically new anti-cheat software will eventually just stop supporting it. We saw this exact same thing happen with Windows 7.
So why are so many of us dragging our feet on this upgrade? Well, to really get what's going on, we have to look back at how Windows 10 earned its killer reputation in the first place. It's a story that started out a bit rocky, but ended up becoming the gold standard for PC gaming.
Oh man, so many of us have been on this exact roller coaster. I totally remember the early days on an old hard drive where just booting up the PC felt like it took forever. But then you get a real gaming rig with an SSD and boom, it was a total game changer. Fast, snappy, and unbelievably stable. But over the years, the updates and the bloat started to creep back in, bringing those super annoying micro stutters with them. And that led to the final step, the community taking matters into its own hands.
Fed up with all the official bloat, the gaming community did what it always does. They rolled up their sleeves and fixed it themselves. This is how we got these incredible custom light versions of Windows 10. These builds literally rip out everything that isn't essential for gaming. We're talking pre-installed apps, useless background services, even all the data collecting stuff, leaving behind a lean, main OS built for one thing and one thing only: pure gaming performance.
And the results, they speak for themselves. 14 seconds. That's the boot time someone clocked on their PC running one of these custom Windows 10 Lite builds. Just think about that. 14 seconds from a cold start to a desktop that's ready to launch a game. That is raw, unfiltered speed, and it shows you just how powerful this OS can be when you trim all the fat.
And here's what that speed looks like in an actual game. We're talking about a pretty modest setup here, a Ryzen 7 and a GTX 1660 Super. On that machine, games like Valorant are just buttery smooth, easily hitting between 200 and 400 FPS. Even a demanding game like PUBG becomes rock solid because the OS is using so few resources. Now, CS2 still has some stutters, but that's almost certainly on the game itself. The raw performance you can squeeze out of Windows 10 is just undeniable.
So, if a souped-up Windows 10 is this amazing, then jumping to Windows 11 should be a no-brainer, right? Well, this is where the story gets a little messy. Let's take a look at the controversial successor and find out why so many gamers are not exactly lining up for the upgrade.
This quote from a power user who's been in the trenches since the early developer builds, it just perfectly nails the problem. This isn't just a feeling he has. He's pointing out that even with a screaming fast, high-end SSD, the basic user interface just feels laggy. That's a huge critique of the fundamental experience.
And the list of complaints just keeps on going. We're talking about core stuff here. A sluggish UI, a taskbar you can barely customize, forcing you to use a Microsoft account, and really strict hardware requirements. But for gamers, the absolute biggest deal breaker is the potential for input lag. That tiny delay between when you click your mouse and when something happens on screen. In competitive gaming, that's just no, absolutely not.
You know, this slide right here says it all. It's just wild. We're talking about a massive step backward. The ability to move your taskbar around or change the icon size, that's been a basic feature since what? Windows 95? And in Windows 11, that freedom is just gone. For anyone who's spent years, even decades, perfecting their workflow, this just feels like a completely baffling and unnecessary restriction.
Okay, so here we are. The clock is ticking down, and if you're a Windows 10 gamer, you're pretty much standing at a fork in the road. And as I see it, there are basically 3 very different paths you can take from here, and each one has its own serious pros and cons.
So let's really dig into these three options, shall we? You can stick with what you know, the familiar stability of Windows 10. You can go all in on performance and get a custom build, or you can embrace the future and make the leap to Windows 11. Each path has some pretty big risks and some pretty big rewards.
All right, path number 1 is the path of least resistance. Basically, do nothing. You get to keep that rock-solid stability and the familiar desktop you've used for years. The problem is, you're living on borrowed time. The security risks are only going to get worse, and eventually, just like with Windows 7, you're going to try to launch a new game and it'll just say, nope.
Now, path number 2. This one's for all you performance junkies out there. You install a custom light version and you get absolutely insane gaming performance. The catch? You're putting your trust in a community build, which can definitely have some security risks. You're giving up the official Microsoft safety net, and oh yeah, you have to do a full, clean reinstall of your entire system.
And finally, we have path 3, the one Microsoft is really pushing for, upgrading to Windows 11. This move basically future-proofs your rig. You get official support, the latest security updates, all the new tech. But you're rolling the dice on that UI lag, potential driver headaches, and those strict hardware requirements that might mean you have to shell out for a whole new PC.
So we've laid out the problem, we've walked through the history of this champion of an operating system, and we've explored the 3 very different choices that are sitting in front of you. So what does this all mean for the future of your gaming setup?
Ultimately, it really all boils down to one simple question. What do you value more? Do you stick with the battle-tested, rock-solid stability you have right now, or do you take a leap of faith on a future that, let's be honest, still has a whole lot to prove? The deadline's getting closer, and it's a decision every single one of us PC gamers is going to have to make.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the latest update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.